All right, so today we're going to do something a little different. We're not just diving into one complex topic. Nope, we're actually giving you the toolkit, the blueprint, really, to understand any complex topic you come across. I mean, you know that feeling, right? When you start reading about some new tech or a financial concept, and it's just jargon everywhere. Your brain just kind of shuts down. If you've ever even tried to get your head around cryptocurrency, yeah, you know exactly what I'm talking about.
But what if I told you there's a simple framework for this? A mental model you could pull out anytime you're stuck, a way to just break down all that confusion and actually build real solid understanding. Well, guess what? There is. And that's exactly what we're going to walk through today.
Okay, let's get right into it. You see, at the heart of every great explanation, there's a clear, repeatable structure. It's kind of like the secret sauce, you know? It's what turns a boring pile of facts into a story that actually makes sense. And here it is, super simple, 4 steps. First up, you got the teaser. That's the hook. Then you define the issue. Why is this thing so confusing in the first place? Third, you deliver the solution, but you break it into easy, bite-sized pieces. And you finish with a call to action. And get this, we're literally using this exact blueprint for this whole explainer right now. So, sticking to our own blueprint, let's hit step 2, the issue. So, why are some topics so darn confusing? I mean, is it because the ideas themselves are just too big for our brains? Usually, nope. It's almost always about how they're explained.
And yeah, these are the usual suspects. People just throw way too much data at you, or they drown you in jargon that nobody understands. They forget to use simple analogies or visuals. And what happens? You don't just get confused, you just completely check out.
Which brings us perfectly to our case study for today, crypto. I mean, come on, it's the poster child for a confusing, jargon-filled topic, right? So what we're going to do is take our blueprints and use it to crack this thing wide open. And now we're at step 3 of our blueprint, the solution. This is where we deconstruct crypto one piece at a time. And we've got to start at the very, very beginning with a really basic question. How do you even figure out how big one of these digital currencies is? The answer is something called market capitalization, or market cap for short. Now, this is important. It's not just about the price of one single coin. It's the total value of all the coins that are out there and available. That's what gives you the real big picture view of a project's scale.
And the best part? The math is super simple. You just take the current price of one coin and multiply it by how many coins are out there in circulation. So think about it. A coin that's only worth $1 but has 10 billion coins, that's a $10 billion project. That's way bigger than, say, a $10,000 coin that only has 100,000 in existence. See? It's a really crucial difference.
Okay, so we get how to measure the value. But how do these networks even work? Like, without a bank or some central authority in charge, how do all these computers all over the world agree on what's real and what's not? Well, they use something called a consensus mechanism.
And really, there are 2 main flavors you need to know about: proof of work and proof of stake. Proof of work is what Bitcoin uses. Think of it like a race where powerful computers solve super hard math puzzles. It's really secure, but man, it uses a ton of energy. Then you've got proof of stake. This one's way more energy efficient. Instead of racing, people lock up or stake their own coins for a chance to be chosen to approve transactions. It's a totally different approach. Okay, so we have the basic building blocks down. But where does the rubber meet the road? How do these ideas turn into things that people actually use? Where do you even go to interact with all this stuff? For most people, the front door is an exchange. You can just think of it like a stock market, but for crypto. And just like the networks we just talked about, exchanges come in 2 main types: centralized and decentralized. And this is where it gets really interesting, because there's a fundamental trade-off here. On one hand, you have centralized exchanges, or CXs. They're usually easy to use, they're fast, but here's the catch: they hold on to your money for you. On the other hand, you have decentralized exchanges, or DEXs. With these, you always have full control of your funds, but they can be a little trickier to use, especially if you're new. So it really boils down to this: convenience versus control. And this just shows how different these networks can be. They're built for totally different jobs. You've got Bitcoin, it's like the digital version of a gold bar. It's been around forever, it's super secure, but trying to buy a coffee with it, slow and expensive. Then you've got something on the other end of the spectrum, like Solana. It's built for one thing: speed. We're talking thousands of transactions a second for basically nothing. It's designed to be a platform where you can build all sorts of applications. So here's the real kicker. When you put this new technology up against our traditional financial system, well, the difference is huge.
Think about sending money overseas. In the old system, it can take days and cost a ridiculous amount in fees. With this tech, that same transaction can happen in a few seconds for pennies. We're not talking about a small improvement here. This is a potential game changer.
So, the big question is, where does all this go from here? What's the next big thing? Well, if you ask a lot of people in the know, they'll point to one thing, the tokenization of real-world assets. You'll hear it called RWAs.
So what does that even mean? The idea is pretty wild. You take things that are normally hard to buy and sell, like a skyscraper or a priceless piece of art, and you represent ownership of that thing with a digital token. Suddenly, you can split that skyscraper into a million tiny pieces and trade them instantly, 24/7, with anyone in the world. It makes these giant, clunky assets liquid.
And the potential size of this market is just staggering. I mean, some projections are throwing around numbers like $30 trillion in the next 10 years. We're talking about a fundamental change in how we think about owning, well, pretty much everything.
And look, this isn't just science fiction, it's happening now, because the underlying tech is finally getting good enough. We have better ways for different blockchains to talk to each other, networks are getting faster, and we have smarter tools to manage it all. Plus, as the rules of the road get clearer, the big money, the institutions, are starting to get on board.
And that brings us right back around to the final step of our blueprint, the call to action. We just walked through it, right? Teaser, issue, solution, action. We use this simple frame to take apart a really complex topic. But here's the thing. The real takeaway isn't just about understanding crypto. The real power is knowing that you now have a mental model to understand anything. So my question to you is, what are you going to tackle next?